Super Mario Party Jamboree is coming out in a few months, and it basically is bringing old and new Mario Party together, offering a lot of elements from Super Mario Party, while also bringing back a lot of things from classic Mario Party, like some returning boards. What if they didn't just limit it to returning boards? What if they also brought some returning mini-games back from the day? Now, obviously, we do have Mario Party Superstars, which is a game all about the returning stuff, the returning mini-games, the returning boards, and all of that. But like I said, this game seems to be appreciating some of the older stuff as well. So what if we do get a few hand-selected mini-games that they had left out maybe from Superstars to hold on to for a potential DLC that ended up becoming this game? Now, obviously, this game isn't all about returning mini-games, so I'm not going to be predicting 110 mini-games, as we know most of these mini-games are going to be new. But I will say 30 potential returning mini-games that we could see from Mario Parties 1 through 10, and I am choosing 3 per Mario Party game, adding up to 30. Now, some are logical predictions that make sense, but some others are actual personal minigames that I would love to see return that got left out of Superstars. Question of the day today is, which minigame would you like to see return from classic Mario Party? If there's any that weren't included in Superstars that you'd like to see added in here. Speaking of Mario Party Superstars, a little ground rule for this list of minigames that I gave myself is that none of these minigames are in Mario Party Superstars. So this was really hard to do for the first 3 Mario Party games, given that most of those mini-games are in Mario Party Superstars. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and if you do, make sure to drop a like and subscribe, all that stuff down below, and click that notification bell so you can be notified of when I upload videos. And without any further ado, let's get into it. Starting with Mario Party 1. These are the mini-games that I think could return from that game. Grab Bag, Bash and Cash, and Musical Mushroom. All of these mini-games are free-for-all mini-games, and the thing is with Grab Bag and Bash and Cash is that these mini-games actually might subtly be teased on the game's box art, where we see Daisy with a hammer chasing Waluigi with a bag, which basically represents both Grab Bag and Bash and Cash. So that's not confirming either of these mini-games being here, but it does give a little nod to those mini-games, so they could potentially be here maybe. Moving on to Mario Party 2, we have Shock, Drop, and Roll, Platform Peril, and Abandoned Ship. Shock, Drop, and Roll is a 1v3 minigame, which I think would be a really fun one to have in here. I did try to get a good balance of free-for-all, 2v2, and 1v3s in here, and I've included, like, I think a Bowser minigame or 2 in here, so it's a good balanced list in my personal opinion. But yeah, between Shock, Drop, and Roll and the other 2 mini-games, I think these are some pretty cool ones that I'm actually kind of shocked they weren't in the original Mario Party Superstars. Especially Platform Peril, because that is basically an iconic mini-game that almost every single Mario Party has seen some sort of iteration of. So yeah, those ones coming back makes complete sense. Next up, we got Mario Party 3. So the 3 mini-games I chose for this game are Crazy Cogs, Log Jam, and Treadmill Grill. Again, all of these are classic, and it is one each of a free-for-all, a 2v2, and a 1v3. Cog Jog in particular is one that I really enjoy. I find this one to be a lot of fun to play on either side, really. Treadmill Grill is just a classic don't get knocked off the platform minigame. And then Log Jam is a really cool reaction time one, and I think they're all very solid minigames that definitely have a right to return. Mario Party 4, a fan favorite when it comes to the mini-games, and at first I thought this one was going to be really hard since a lot of the big ones from Mario Party 4 were already chosen for Superstars, but there were a few actual really solid ones that actually weren't included in Superstars, which were really easy to put here. We got Mr. Blizzard's Brigade, Order Up, and Hide and Go Boom. Again, one each of the minigame categories, and Mr. Blizzard Brigade is honestly a really fun survival minigame. I think it's one of the best in the entire series because when you add in the sliding ice mechanic, ooh, it just makes that minigame so hectic and so fun. And of course, Hide and Go Boom is just mind games galore, such a really good one. And then Order Up is one of those 2v2 minigames where it requires a lot of coordination with your partner. Typically, 2v2s can be a bit messy in my personal opinion, but this one does it right. So those 3 minigames from Mario Party 4 returning would just be absolutely spectacular. Next up is Mario Party 5, one of the weaker entries in terms of mini-games, but I think I chose some pretty solid ones to include for Mario Party 5 as well, including Hotel Goomba, Skull and Cauldron, and Mazed and Confused. Now, before y'all say anything, yes, Hotel Goomba was in Mario Party the top 100, but I specifically said the minigames I choose won't come back from Superstars. So anything that was in the top 100 but wasn't in Superstars is more than eligible to return. And I think Hotel Goomba is a prime example of one that I am not sure why they did not include this one in Superstars. It is absolutely a top tier minigame. And then, of course, Skull and Cauldron is a Bowser minigame, which, again, is kind of like Hide and Go Boom, except it's less mind games and more pure luck. And then Mazed and Confused is a simple maze traversal minigame, but every few seconds, the maze changes up on you. It is a really, really fun one. While definitely not the strongest lineup of minigames on this list, I do think that this is a decent selection that would work really well in Super Mario Party Jamboree. Okay, Mario Party 6. This is the one game where I scrapped popular minigames and said, I don't care if this minigame is popular or not. I went full personal opinion on this one because it's my favorite Mario Party and I have the right to do that. So, we got Granite Getaway, Control Stick, and Boot Off the Stage. Now, one of these minigames I do have to kind of add a little asterisk to, and that is Control Stick. In the original Mario Party 6, the main objective of the game was to hold both of your thumbsticks in the direction of the corresponding arrows. Seems simple enough, makes sense, but the problem being with how the Nintendo Switch is, if you are playing with a single Joy-Con, that would not work. So here is the compromise and the fix that I have to make this minigame work. Might have to change the name to make it work, but either way, instead of doing 2 arrows to say which direction to move the 2 thumbsticks, you can do 1 arrow to show which way to move the left thumbstick, and then instead of an arrow on the right side, you do a face button. Usually the face buttons will have an arrow on them, so you gotta hit the corresponding face button rather than moving the second stick. So yes, it's not going to be the exact same as it was on the GameCube, but the chaotic nature of the minigame will very much still be there. Having to look at the arrows on screen and match with the corresponding stick and button input, that's still going to be crazy, and I think it would be a really solid one for them to add. And then, of course, Granite Getaway, for me, is just a classic. I freaking love this minigame. It's one of my favorite minigames of all time. It definitely should return. And then Boot Off the Stage is a really, really good duel minigame where you have to avoid all the boos. So this is the one and only duel minigame I've added to the list. So even though these are all just minigames I personally really want to see because I enjoy them so much, I still think these would be very solid additions to this game. Alright, next up is Mario Party 7, and 2 of these minigames are just plain obvious, not sure why they're not in Superstars. Those being Fun Run and Track and Yield. Those ones are just very iconic. And I've also added in Battery Ram, which is a really solid 2v2. I mean, Track and Yield basically needs no introduction. That's a very notable, iconic one because it was also in Mario Party the Top 100. Fun Run is a really fun platforming, obstacle dodging minigame where you have to get to the end without falling in too many pits or hitting too many spinies. You gotta get to the finish line first. And then Battery Ram is another really good communicative 2v2 minigame where you gotta get this giant ram to the opposite side of the maze. This one is chaotic when you're yelling to your partner and trying to get them to go in the direction you want. This one is pure chaos and definitely needs to return. I think this might be the most solid selection of minigames out of this whole entire list when you're talking about each game. So I really hope these 3 return. Alright, so with Mario Parties 8, 9, and 10, I had a really hard time with these three, for different reasons. For Mario Party 8, a lot of these minigames relied on motion controls. Part of me was debating, should I have the motion control minigames added to this list, but have them be the motion controls exclusive minigames that this game seems to have? Or should I just choose whatever the heck I want? And I went for the whatever the heck I want option. So, here you go. I chose King of the Thrill, but Bombs Away, and Cut from the Team. These are all actually really solid minigames, and it's the main reason I decided to veer away from focusing on the motion control minigames, simply because most of the motion control minigames, not that they're forgettable, but they're so gimmicky and so tacked on to the motion control gimmick to where they're not really that interesting. But something like King of the Thrill, where you're doing a 2v2 fighting match on top of these giant cliffs, yeah, that's way more interesting. And then of course you have Cut from the Team, which this is basically Bowser's Big Blast except in the Mario Party 8 edition. Cut a rope and hope for the best. I think that's a pretty solid lineup of minigames for Mario Party 8, and let me know if you agree down in the comments. Mario Party 9 was interesting because of the fact that there were only free-for-all minigames. No 2v2, no 1v3, just free-for-all. So, here's the list. We've got Player Conveyor, Loggerheads, and Peak Precision. Player Conveyor is a really mad one where you have to look at the conveyor belts and figure out how you're supposed to get to the goal in the middle. This one can be a lot of chaotic fun, and I actually really enjoyed this minigame. Peak Precision was in Mario Party the Top 100. It's basically just button reaction timing to get yourself up to the top of the cliff. And then Loggerheads is another timing minigame, another reaction-based minigame. Overall, I think this is a pretty solid lineup of minigames, and I would like to see all these return. Alright, finally we got Mario Party 10. I've got 3 final minigames for you, so here we go. We got Goombrat Combat, Ice Slide, U-Slide, and Cliffside Crisis. All these minigames are pretty fun. Goombrat Combat is basically a 2v2 minigame where your objective is to hit Goombrats to the opponent's side of the field, and whoever has more on their side loses. Then we have Ice Slide, U-Slide, which is a really cool kind of timing reaction minigame where you gotta dodge all the things as they're coming on screen. Think Runner, if you know that series, the Bit Trip Runner series, it's kinda like that. Then we have Cliffside Crisis, which is a minigame where you're standing on this cliff, obviously, and all these platforms are kind of either going out from under you or are pushing you off from your level, and the objective is to survive. Pretty cool survival minigame. So those are the 30 minigames that I have chosen to be a part of this game if they do decide to bring back returning minigames. I think this is a pretty solid lineup of minigames. Obviously, this leans a little bit more into the free-for-all territory in terms of just how many minigames there are, but I did try to choose a decent amount of 1v3s and 2v2s to kind of even it out just a little bit. Let me know some minigames that you guys would like to see return down in the comments down below, and I'd like to thank you all so much for watching this video, and if you did enjoy it, definitely do drop a like and subscribe, all that stuff down below, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when I upload videos. And until next time, you guys, I will see you all in the next video.